This is Fieldsports Channel News. Chris Packham has waded into calls to axe a Love Island contestant. The BBC presenter wants Oliver Williams sacked after pictures of the 23-year-old posing with a warthog emerged over the weekend. A petition to have him cut from the show has now reached 18,000 signatures. However, pressure from Basque has meant Change.org has disabled the comments on the page, and it pointed out they breached policies on hate speech, bullying, violence and defamation. Supporters of Ollie, heir to the Lanhydrock estate in Cornwall and manager of the Cornish Sporting Agency, say he's a passionate conservationist and urge viewers to keep him in the show. No doubt all this fuss has come as a complete surprise to the series producers. The British Deer Society has brought together experts to discuss muntjac deer. Held at the Great North Museum in Newcastle University, the one-day symposium aimed to pool knowledge and gather information on the species. Muntjac deer range is increasing following their 20th century introduction in the southeast of England. They have steadily spread, with occasional reports now of sightings to the north in Cumbria, County Durham and Northumberland. Scottish policy is clear: to be free of muntjac deer. The North East England branch of the BDS, supported by the Woodland Trust, hosted the symposium. Thanks to Al Gabriel and Jamie Tranter for the footage. Police have arrested 8 masked hunt saboteurs. The action followed an alleged abusive and violent tirade against members of the Cheshire Hunt. The incident happened during a legal trail hunt attended by families and children. 7 members of the group were arrested on suspicion of assault and possession of an offensive weapon in a public place, while the 8th was arrested on suspicion of a public order offence. The Forestry Commission will no longer use outside agencies to implement its deer management strategy. This will come into force at the end of March 2020. From April 2020, it will employ a deer advisor and team of deer officers to deliver what it calls on-the-ground deer management advice to landowners, agents and stalkers. You can apply for a job via the link in the description. Applications close next week. US hunter Larissa Switlick is back in the newspapers. Why? Who knows? Apparently she could still face prosecution after wild goat trophy hunting on Isla in 2018. The American conservation hunter became the centre of a media storm after aunties criticised her Instagram posts of Scottish hunts. They reported her to the police for alleged firearms offences. The police report remains with prosecutors a year after her trip. Over in Jackson, Wyoming, it's fine to shoot goats. An extensive operation to kill an invasive species of mountain goats is currently underway. They invaded the Grand Teton National Park under threatening the existence of the park's bighorn sheep herd. A large swathe of the High Tetons, including the north and west slopes of the iconic Cathedral Group, will be closed to the public as aerial gunners contracted by the park spent up to a week locating and shooting approximately 100 goats. Irish hunt saboteurs say their numbers are being bolstered by Swedish and English aunties. 2 sabs arrested by the Garda in Bruff for trespassing were released without charge at the weekend. The master of the Scarteen hunt praises the Garda for taking action. Thanks to Dan Spence and for our Irish friends for this story. Scottish environmental groups are calling for a rethink in the way that deer are managed. A new report from Scottish Environment Link proposes statutory regulation to cut deer numbers across Scotland. It wants to tell landowners how many they are allowed to have and how many they must shoot, a move that will outrage estates running traditional stalking businesses. Estates say that those with knowledge of local conditions should set cull targets and that more fencing will protect woodland. An immigration judge has been cleared of attacking 2 hunt saboteurs. Mark Davis, chairman of the historic Barlow Hunt, clashed with 2 masked Sheffield hunt sabs during a New Year's Day hunt last year in the Peak District. Following a 2-day trial, Davis was cleared after a judge accepted he had acted in self-defence. Davis slammed both Derbyshire Police and the Crown Prosecution Service for the way he'd been treated during the last year, and plans to issue formal complaints to the Chief Constable and the CPS in the East Midlands. An animal rights charity has released edited footage of a fox being chased by hounds. The League Against Cruel Sports is using the doctored footage to put pressure on the Scottish Government to strengthen hunting legislation. The charity claims that the Jed Forest Hunt encouraged its hounds to search and chase foxes and reported the incident to Police Scotland. However, the Scottish Countryside Alliance accuses the League of releasing edited footage in a bid to deceive the public and force through yet more anti-hunting legislation. Boris Johnson is in the firing line after a promise to ban the import of game trophies. Steve Jones, UK President of Safari Club International, is accusing the PM of bowing to pressure from his girlfriend Carrie Symonds and hypocrisy after images surfaced showing Boris enjoying a shoot in 1999. DEFRA's 12-week consultation on the import and export of trophies ends on the 25th of January. Have your say. There is a link in the description below. PETA is under fire for directly linking the Australian bushfires with meat consumption. The animal activists have jumped on the ecological tragedy to claim that the meat eaters who barbecue and grill are to blame for climate change. They use a series of posts on social media to urge people to adopt veganism to help put out the flames. Thanks to Alan Flint for this story. Channel 4 is alleged to be backing a food company in return for promoting its vegetarian products. The UK TV network has signed a 7-figure equity deal with the meatless farm company. Channel 4's Commercial Growth Fund is financially backing the Yorkshire-based company, with an agreement in place to broadcast more anti-meat content across Channel 4, All 4 and their streaming services. More meat bashing from Channel 4, which gives a platform to environmental campaigner George Monbiot. The veteran vegetarian says that animals raised in fields must go, and we should produce protein and other nutrients in laboratories if we want to save the world. The TV programme says that 4 kilograms of beef is as bad as a return flight to New York. The Guardian and the Telegraph newspapers are calling for an Ofcom investigation into Channel 4's programming. Welsh rugby referee Nigel Owens, MBE, has waded in on the apocalypse cow debate, telling presenter George Monbiot that he really doesn't have a clue. Former president of the Welsh Federation of Young Farmers Clubs, Owens is an outspoken countryside supporter, as well as being hailed as the best rugby referee in the world. His comments have helped fuel the defence of farmers across the UK against what he calls unfair, biased, extremist views. The Irish Farming Association says that the Eden Animal Sanctuary, which helps fund expensive advertisements for the Go Vegan World campaign, needs to publish where its money comes from. Currently, the Animal Sanctuary in Ireland, which is not a registered charity, manages a multi-million euro advertising campaign, but does not produce audited accounts or disclose where its funding comes from. The Go Vegan World campaign has come under scrutiny after drawing false correlations between eating meat and climate change. Rewilding Britain's director wants hen harriers, beavers, golden eagles and wildcats released in the UK. Professor Alistair Driver says he wants more than 1 million hectares of land returned to nature because he says it will help reduce carbon emissions and safeguard species and plants at risk of extinction. Welsh political party Plaid Cymru says the proposals embody privileged middle-class romanticism and have already pulled out of consultations on similar proposals in Wales. The urban media has found a rare white pheasant in the British countryside. The Independent, Daily Mail and BBC have all run articles on albino pheasants, claiming they're rare. None of them phoned a shoot, which could have set them straight. Many shoots release white pheasants as a penalty bird and marker, and is a good way to raise funds for charity. Police say that a wolf that stalked a mother and baby can be shot. In a video that has racked up hundreds of thousands of views on social media, a wolf can be seen following a female hiker and her baby, and then waiting outside the woman's house, presumably to have them for dinner. Finnish police have granted a permit for the animal to be killed. The Finnish government estimates there are 200 wolves in the country. The US state of Virginia is considering a bill to track gun purchases via credit card companies. Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton says the law will close the divide on gun rights in the US. She hopes financial institutions will flag suspicious activity and help to prevent mass shootings and domestic terrorist attacks. Gun right activists call the bill the worst kind of invasion of privacy. New details have been released over the death of a deer hunter and his 9-year-old daughter. Kim and Lauren Drawdy were shot on New Year's Day in South Carolina while driving deer towards the area where they were due to hunt. Post-mortem results confirmed they both died from buckshot pellet wounds to the chest. According to officials, one of the hunters mistook the father and daughter for deer. A Texan says he's been robbed of the world's longest shot accolade. Bill Poor hit a 53-inch target from 3 miles, beating the previous record of 2.84 miles set by retired Navy SEAL Charles Melton. But the tough folk from the Guinness World Records won't recognise the triumph because he shot the target using optics. They want to keep a level playing field for other shooters. Current title holder Melton is vowing to secure his title with a 3.4-mile shot and is searching for a 5-mile stretch of land where he can seal the deal. Commonwealth Games India has officially asked to host the 2022 shooting competitions. The chief executive of the Commonwealth Games Federation says that the proposal, backed by the National Rifle Association of India and World Archery, will solve the problem caused after Birmingham dropped shooting from the 2022 Games. A decision is expected later this month. This footage shows Amber Hill winning silver for England in the 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. And finally, you can now print your own shotgun cartridges. An experimental ammo testing outfit in the US has developed a 3D printed cartridge complete with base, primer and entire shell, with a .50 caliber lead ball. But they may need to go back to the drawing board after initial tests found 50% of the shell flew off, travelled down the barrel and came out of the muzzle. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.